485. Why should we adore God?
Every person who understands that he is God's creature will humbly recognize the Almighty and adore him. Christian adoration, however, sees not only the greatness, omnipotence, and holiness of God. It also kneels before the divine love that became man in Jesus Christ. Someone who really adores God kneels down before him or prostrates himself on the ground. This gives expression to the truth about the relation between man and God. He is great, and we are little. At the same time, man is never greater than when he freely and devoutly kneels down before God. The unbeliever who is seeking God and is beginning to pray can find God in this way.
.486. Why should we petition God?
God, who knows us through and through, knows what we need. Nevertheless, God wants us to ask, to turn to Him in times of need, to cry out, implore, lament, call upon Him, indeed, even to struggle with Him in prayer. Certainly, God does not need our petitions in order to help us. It is for our own sake that we are supposed to offer prayers of petition. Someone who does not ask and does not want to ask shuts himself up in himself. Only a person who asks opens himself and turns to the author of all good. Someone who asks goes back home to God. Thus, the prayer of petition brings man into the right relationship to God, who respects our freedom. Christians bring their life before God through the language of the body. They cast themselves down before God. They fold their hands in prayer or stretch them out, the orante position. They genuflect, bend the knee, or kneel before the all-holy God. They listen to the gospel while standing. They meditate by sitting. Standing in the presence of God expresses reverence. You stand up when a superior enters. And also vigilance and readiness. You are ready to set out on a journey immediately. If at the same time the hands are outstretched in praise of God, the orante position, the person praying assumes the original gesture of praise. While sitting in God's presence, the Christian listens to what is happening interiorly. He ponders the word in his heart, Luke chapter 2, verse 51, and meditates on it. By kneeling, a person makes himself small in the presence of God's greatness. He recognizes his dependence on God's grace. By prostrating himself, a person adores God. By folding the hands, a person overcomes distraction, recollects himself, gathers his thoughts, and unites himself to God. Folded hands are also the original gesture of petition.
.487. Why should we petition God for other people?
As Abraham intervened by his prayer for the inhabitants of Sodom, as Jesus prayed for his disciples, and as the early Christian community looked not only to their own interests, but also to the interests of others. Philippians chapter 2, verse 4. So too, Christians always pray for everyone, for people who are dear to their hearts, for people who are not close to them, and even for their enemies. The more a person learns to pray, the more profoundly he realizes that he has ties to a spiritual family through which the power of prayer is made effective. With all my concern for the people whom I love, I stand in the midst of the family of mankind and may receive strength from the prayers of others and may call down divine assistance for others.
488. Why should we thank God?
Everything that we are and have comes from God. Paul says, "What have you that you did not receive?" 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 7. Being grateful to God, the giver of all good things, makes you happy. The greatest prayer of thanks is the Eucharist, thanksgiving in Greek, of Jesus. In which he takes bread and wine so as to offer in them to God all of creation transformed. Whenever Christians give thanks, they are joining in Jesus' great prayer of thanksgiving. For we too are transformed and redeemed by Jesus, and so from the depths of our hearts, we can be grateful and tell God this in a variety of ways.
Hello, my name is Father Michael Depchik. This is my name sign. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. Thank you so much for watching our video. I hope to see you again next week.